guys? This is Jared, aka the Saint of Sins on Xbox Live, bringing you another edition of MLB Thoughts. Well, we wrapped up a quiet All-Star break that had an underwhelming All-Star game and returned to the second half of the season, where things should start picking up for a lot of teams hoping to extend their play through October. And with the non-waiver trade deadline encroaching upon us in the upcoming weeks, we're likely going to see some sizable shakeups to rosters that should hedge them some extra playing time after September. We'll get into possible trades in a little bit. First, I'd like to focus in on the teams I think are going to be buyers for the deadline and who have a realistic shot at making the postseason. We'll begin with the American League East, easily the toughest division in all of baseball. I'm liking a battle down the stretch between the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. I think Toronto is out of the hunt, thanks in large part to injuries to their rotation and just overall bad outings from Ricky Romero. The Red Sox fare no better, though we know they're going to be buyers come the deadline. Their problem has been their starting rotation has just been flat out awful. And with the injuries to their lineup, we're seeing some heavy flaws in their depth in the roster. They have easily one of the weakest benches in the league. Plus, it's going to be hard for them to turn things around financially when they have so much money tied up in Daisuke Matsuzaka, John Lackey, and Carl Crawford, who have all not been very productive for the team this year, due in large part to injury. I'm going back and forth on the Orioles. I don't think they're quite there to be a legitimate threat to the AL East, but I don't think they're going to fall completely out of the running. They're an odd team that still needs certain pieces to push them over the top. The problem is, they're not going to dig into their farm system to try and get pieces that could help them make a push now. And they shouldn't. They have a good build for the future, and that farm system has too many valuable pieces to just chunk away for a possible rental. I could see them being very cautious buyers. For the contending Yankees, they'll of course be buyers as they tried and pushed for their fourth consecutive playoff berth. Their needs aren't as severe as other playoff teams though. What they'll need is going to be costly, but it isn't likely they'll need a lot in return. The core of their lineup is solid. Their bullpen has been exceptionally strong despite losing Mariano Rivera early into the season with a season-ending injury, and they have the deepest and strongest benches in all of baseball. What's been hurting them is their rotation, and that's exactly what they'll be eyeing come the deadline. They'll also be in the market to help the bottom half of their lineup, as they're getting almost no production out of their 8 and 9 hole hitters. I could see them in the market for a hitting catcher, a low end of the rotation starter, and of course they'll want to shore up their bullpen with a new arm. Nothing too serious, but I wouldn't put it past them to want to go out and get a high caliber player just because they can afford it. I'm just not sold on them wanting to sell off more of their farm system pieces when they went into spring training looking forward to the development of their young arms in Manny Banuelos and Dylan Betances. The Rays, on the other hand, are going to need a lot to keep up their pace for the pennant. They're lacking production out of Carlos Pena, Jose Molina, Luke Scott, and Sean Rodriguez. They're also still suffering with underperformances from Desmond Jennings, BJ Upton, and Ben Zobrist. Pitching has been problematic for the team. Their rotation has fared well despite poor outings from James Shields, Matt Moore, and Alex Cobb. Their bullpen has been an even bigger issue for the team as they are giving up far too many runs despite holding the league's 5th best batting average against. The good news is that they've been winning without Evan Longoria, and he's set to return for the second half beginning in August. The bad news? They're going to have to sell off some goods to try and be aggressive buyers. Last season was a disaster for the team in that they had high interest in BJ Upton and James Shields, but refused to move either one for 2 reasons. Upton's asking price was never met, and Shields was seen as too valuable to the team to move as they thought he had hit his stride late in his career, much like Cliff Lee. The problems are this: Upton hasn't been fond of playing in Tampa Bay for years. He's either in dire need of a change of scenery to become the breakout star that many thought he would be after his 2008 playoff boom, or he's just a dead-end bust. As for James Shields, he was never going to duplicate last season's numbers. He was never going to turn that corner and become the kind of lights-out ace that Lee did after his Cy Young season. Shields simply gives up too many hits, lacks the strikeout presence, and always gives up too many home runs. The only thing that keeps the Rays afloat in the race down the stretch is Joe Maddon. The guy is year in and year out the best manager in the league. He has almost nothing to work with, yet somehow always finds a way to get his guys in a position to win games that they have almost no right winning. I fully expect this team to be on the lookout for offensive help at the first base, catcher, or corner outfield spots. They may even opt to give up more to get 2 of these positions filled. I also fully expect them to hunt for an undervalued relief pitcher much like they did 2 seasons ago when they picked up Chad Qualls. Though it's highly possible that this team could be quiet during the trade deadline, focusing more to fix their issues internally rather than break up their minor league system by trading pieces away. Of these teams, I think the second half will inevitably favor the Yankees for the pennant. I'm open to being wrong about this, but as the teams stand now, they're obviously the more prepared team for the postseason and the only team that requires little change to make their bid for October. The more I think about it, the more I like the odds of the wild card falling to either the Rays or the Orioles. Obviously I'm favoring the Rays, but the O's do have some interesting prospects for their future and could be swinging for a postseason this year on the backs of their solid bullpen and a lineup that is overachieving last season's accomplishments. With the wild card this year being a one-game playoff matchup between the top 2 teams in the wild card hunt, I like the odds of it coming down to the Angels and an AL East team. Depending on how the Rays and O's shape up, I'm linking the Angels as the definitive wildcard team to enter into the ALDS. And seeing how long I've gone on just talking about the AL East teams, I figure I might as well stop while I'm ahead and save the rest of the banter for later on. So that's going to do it for this edition of MLB Thoughts. I will catch you guys later. Peace.